everyone, my name is Natasha and I am on a weight loss and health and fitness journey. Welcome back. I was tagged slash asked to do a food tag by Too Fat, Too Furious, so I'm going to do that. So what is your favorite breakfast? I don't do it very often, but I love biscuits and gravy. It's delicious. There's also something that's kind of like a family recipe. It's called blueberry French toast, but it's like special. So you've got like thick cuts of French bread, and then you put it, like you dip it in your egg and milk mixture, and then you leave it overnight, and you mix up this like crumble on top that's like brown sugar, it's brown sugar, butter, cinnamon, and I feel like there's something else. And so you sprinkle the top of your French toast with the blueberries and that mixture, and then you bake it, and it's like these chunks of like crystallized sugary buttery goodness on top. It's delicious. It's one of my family kind of recipes, like birthdays and holidays. So that's also one of my favorites. There's another thing that's one of my favorites, but I'm going to talk about it later, so I'm just going to skip it for now. Also just like scrambled eggs, and just eggs in the morning is one of my go-to breakfasts. Number 2, what's your favorite sandwich? My favorite sandwich is really just kind of like any Italian style sandwich with salami and pepperoni on it. I also really like a good Cuban, but I don't make / get those very often, but they're one of my favorites as well. Question number 3 is, what's your favorite cookbook? I don't use a cookbook, really. I've gotten them throughout the years, and I usually like look through them once or twice, and then I never use it. Or maybe I use it like once for one recipe. So instead, what I've got is like a journal, because I was also gifted journals for like ever, but I don't really journal. So one of them I turned into essentially a cookbook for myself. So I just write down, if I find a recipe I really like, I write it in there, and that's like my cookbook. But most of the time it's just like Googling and going online, and usually I'll try out recipes until I find one that like really fits whatever I'm looking for. So like trying to find a good English muffin recipe. So I've been trying out different ones to see which one like kind of works and I like the best, and then I'll put that in my recipe book. Or I'll favorite it online, but I try to write it down because sometimes I can't find the website again. So if it turns out really well, I'll put it in there. Question number 4 is, no more sweets or no more hearty food? I mean, I love sweets, but I would have to go no more sweets, because I couldn't live without hearty food. Like if it was just like salads and like the light things and stuff, like I would, no, I love like a good hearty soup or chowder, or I just want the hearty things. Number 5 is, what is your favorite cuisine? I like a lot of different cuisines. I like to mix it up. I would have to say Thai is one of my favorites. I just love like the spice combinations and different things with that. And then Italian food. My dad likes to joke that, I mean, we aren't Italian, but that maybe somewhere down the generations there was an Italian. We just don't know it. My dad makes really good lasagna. Like, I just love pasta and bread and pizza and just all of that sort of stuff. It's delicious. It's one of my favorite foods. What's your most guilty pleasure food or snack? So my guiltiest pleasure food / snack is I don't even think they sell them anymore. I haven't seen them and I haven't done it in forever, but the wheat thins that are the tomato basil with a little bit of cream cheese on top. Those are like, they're so good. Very good, very not good for me, but those were definitely one of my favorite guilty pleasure foods and snacks. I can't think of anything else. Like, I like the little frozen Edward pie things in the freezer section. They're, I don't know, they're good. They're snack and they're dessert. And just like chips and queso. I love a good chip and queso. I really kind of essentially don't have tortilla chips in my house anymore because I will just want to make chips and queso or some sort of dips and chips and things, and so can't do that. Question number 7 is cooking at home or going out for dinner. I love going out and eating at a restaurant because usually I will get stuck in a rut with some of my recipes. Like, I like to try and mix it up and keep it different, but I love going out to a restaurant because you can kind of try something new, try something you might not think of, different flavor combinations. But I also have liked trying, also at home, like if I don't, especially with the coronavirus, and I don't really want to go like out to eat. I mean, sometimes I'll get a takeaway and, you know, just like pick it up at the restaurant and take it home. But like the HelloFresh and stuff, every once in a while. I'm not like a current, like a forever subscriber, but like I'll get a couple of HelloFresh boxes to kind of just like give me new ideas and kind of get me out of that rut, you know, when you kind of get in a food rut. So both. But usually it's like, I don't know, I mean, HelloFresh is cooking at home, but it's not something I would pick out necessarily. So it's kind of getting those new flavors and ideas out there, which I like. What's your favorite restaurant? So probably have to go 2. There's a Thai restaurant near me that I love. They have a really good lunch special. Like, you get the little salad and you get your I usually get curry, and that's one of my favorite restaurants. And then there's one specific Chinese food restaurant. It's not even in the city that I'm in. It's back home in Kansas. That is like, when I go back home, we are going there because they have some of the best food I've ever had, like Chinese food. It is so good. What is the tastiest food you've ever eaten? So I would have to say it was a red velvet cheesecake. Now I don't know if it was just like the cheesecake itself, but it was so good, or if it was like the atmosphere, because I was like in Key West on vacation with my aunt and stuff. It was like this cool, like fancy, like dessert restaurant, and that's all they did. And they had these wine glasses that they like dipped in chocolate, and then like they paired them with different, you know, like you could do caramel or white chocolate or dark chocolate or milk chocolate or things like that with different wines. So I would say that red velvet cheesecake was the tastiest thing I've ever had. There's been some others too, like there was like a really good burger, like local burger place in my undergrad town, which was like, we were kind of in a rural-ish town for undergrad, and it was like local beef, and it was so good. Those are probably my things that I can think of that were like the best thing. Or this one other restaurant that I had downtown, they had like this lamb dish. I've never really had lamb before, but that was also one of the tastiest things. So those are my tastiest things that I've ever had. What is your favorite snack? There's always that I love a good chips and queso. I also love Doritos. So chips are kind of like snacks that I love, but I usually try to not keep them in the house, and try to truly limit myself with those, because I will just eat forever because like they don't really fill you up. I feel like you can just like eat chips and just keep eating chips and you're just never full. So favorite snack, but I try not to eat them because they just don't fill me up. That's all I can think of for favorite snacks, really. I love chips. I also like cottage cheese. I'm a fan of the cottage cheese. And the protein in it kind of fills you up a little bit more. But yeah. What's on your pizza? I like pretty much all pizza, but if I was like designing my own pizza or my favorite pizzas, I love a good chicken barbecue pizza, and I also love pizzas when they have the white sauce. So usually it's like white either Parmesan or Alfredo sauce with the cheese, and then some sausage and stuff like that's, and some onion. That's one of my favorites. What food do you really dislike? Well, the first one that comes to mind is shrimp, crawfish, lobster, because I'm allergic to all three, and just bad things happen when I eat those, which is unfortunate because they're delicious, but I can't eat them because bad things happen. And so, yeah. So I also have to be really careful, like when I go out to eat, if it has, especially down here on the Gulf Coast, shrimp is all over the place, so I can't like eat anything that's fried in the same oil or anything like that. So it does limit me a lot, but that is one of the ones I dislike because I can't eat it and it limits everything else that I can eat. Which is sometimes good because then if I can't have anything fried at a restaurant because they have fried shrimp, I'm forced to eat healthier things generally. So sometimes it's good. Other foods I dislike, I'm a real texture person, so like I don't like raw fish, so like I don't really like most sushi or sashimi. Like I just can't do the texture. I just can't. There's other foods that are like that too. Like I don't really ever, like I haven't tried it, but I don't really want to try caviar or like things like that because like the texture alone just does not sound like it would agree with me. Same with oysters, like, and I might even be allergic to oysters and crabs. I don't know. I have tried crab since I've had the shrimp, crawfish, lobster issue, but didn't have an issue, but I just really don't eat those things because I'm afraid I'm allergic to it. But those are kind of like the weird textures are the things that I'm not a huge fan of, like the slimy or the just unexpected slimy. Not a fan. What's the weirdest food you've ever eaten? Now going back to the not liking slimy and not really liking like oysters and stuff, the weirdest thing I did have tried was when I was on a field trip in the Bahamas. They had conch fritters, and I tried one of those, and it wasn't bad. Like the spices and everything was good, but the texture got me. But it was one of the weirder things I've tried. If you don't know, this is what a conch shell looks like. They're found mostly in like the tropical vicinity. They're just a giant, essentially, like snail that lives under the water. This actually did come from the Bahamas. There was a huge pile of just like discarded conch shells, and you're allowed to take one per person. This is the line from the machete, so they'll like find them in the ocean and pick them up and whack them with a machete to kill them, and then pull them out and take them to cook. So that's one of the weirder things I've tried. I'll talk about one of the other ones and another question that's kind of like weird, but it was also a dare, so I'll get to that later. What food would you never try? I won't try a lot of the seafood things in terms of like non-fish seafood anymore because, again, I'm worried that I'm allergic to things given the shrimp, crawfish, lobster. So like I won't try scallops, I won't try oysters, I won't, also texture-wise with the oysters, at least raw ones. So I really won't try kind of those things, and crab because I'm worried I'm allergic. I also really don't want to try caviar. and just things like that. Like escargot, not really want to try that. Don't really want to. Tripe also, tripe and what was the other one? It's the thing in the stomach. Scottish? I am totally blanking. Yeah, eating intestines is just not something I really want to do. So I'm not going to do that. What's on your food bucket list? Now, while I am kind of picky with the textures, I do love trying new things. So like, again, when I was talking about earlier, I don't like getting stuck in like a cooking or food rut. So like, generally whenever I go to the grocery store, like I like to try and pick up something that I've never had before. I like going to like the Hong Kong market, which is a grocery store, like an Asian food grocery store around me, or the just kind of like international food sections, and trying something. I can't think of anything specific on that list that I really want to try, but I just like trying a variety of things. So whenever I get like the opportunity, I usually do. Sometimes even if I think I'm not gonna necessarily like the texture or whatever, but I'm just like, you never know until you try. So as much as I can try. What food can't you live without? Bread or pasta? I love bread in all of the different varieties, and I love pasta. So carbs. Just if I can't have those, if I cut them out for too long, it doesn't work out well for me. I love me some bread and pasta. If you could only eat one thing for the rest of your life, what would it be? I really like Too Fat, Too Furious's answer, or at least one of their answers on here, which was pizza, because you can just change up the toppings. You can put all sorts of different things. So you're still like getting the different foods, but it's on a pizza. So I would go with pizza. If I have to eat one thing for the rest of my life, pizza. Have you ever eaten anything on a dare? So it was sort of a dare, sort of not. So I was out to eat with some colleagues. We were on a work trip, and someone got, it was my boss actually, she got frog. She got frog. And I've never had frog before. And so partially on a dare, partially on just like I wanted to try it just to try it sort of thing. I had a bit of it. It was okay. It was hard to mentally get past the fact that it was a frog. Also, she said this was like not the best cooked like style that she's ever had. So she would recommend me trying it again some other time. But I had it. It wasn't horrible. It's not something I'd necessarily order. But I've tried frog. What's your home country's traditional food? So I'm in the US, so I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is like burgers and fries. That's kind of very American. And hot dogs. And fried chicken, like stuff like that is what I think of when it comes to like American cuisine. But like there's a bunch of different stuff like throughout the country that's like traditional. So like there's like fried ravioli, which is apparently very specific to St. Louis, where I've got some family at. And like Louisiana has a bunch of very specific cuisine, which is delicious. The muffulettas and the crawfish etouffee, which I can't have, but it's so good. And so there's a variety of different like traditional American foods. It kind of depends on where you're at. One of the things that's, I don't really know if you want to call it traditional to Texas, but is very common in Texas and like has been adopted, is kolaches. They're actually a Polish thing in the first place. They are essentially like this delicious bread, which is why I love it, because bread is great. This delicious like buttery like sort of sweet bread, and then either stuffed with or topped with various things. It's usually a breakfast kind of food. So the one that I like the best is, that I've had from a local kolache place, is called, it's got, it's the bread, and then inside of it is cream cheese, jalapenos, and bacon. And that's one of my favorites. But they've got all sorts of ones. You can do like sweet ones that are topped with like fruit. You've got other ones that are like sausage and cheese. There's all sorts of variety, and they are delicious. It might be another one like if you had to only eat one food, because you can also just put all sorts of different things in and on and around them. So kolaches is one of the things. Or barbecue. Barbecue is also very traditional to like the US, and you've got like the different styles in different areas, like the Kansas City barbecue versus the Texas versus the Carolinas, all sorts of different, and fairly traditional to like US common. What's the weirdest food combo you enjoy? So this is a thing that I started as a kid. So like my dad taught me you can put like chips on top of in your sandwich and make it, you know, extra crunchy. Usually this would be like, you know, a meat and cheese sandwich. I started doing it with peanut butter and jelly, and my favorite chip to put on it was Doritos, and I still do this to this day. If I am eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich and I happen to have Doritos, I am definitely putting some Doritos on my sandwich. You have to put it on like right about before you're gonna eat it, otherwise the chips get soggy and it loses its like appeal, but that's one of my favorites. So if you want to do this tag, go ahead and do the tag. I hope you enjoyed and learned a little bit more about me. Hope to see some of you guys do it too, and thanks so much for tuning in. Bye!